This is Paul. Yeah. I'm just reading this dictionary. Yes. They have what's known as arrest, to stop or to bring an end to capture, to seize, to hold in custody by the authority of the law. The act of bringing into custody, the legal recording of such acts. Then they have what's known as an arsenal. Yes, a collection of weapons, a place where arms and military equipment are manufactured or stored. Now, I notice that it says to hold in custody by the authority of law. When there was no jurisdiction for the arrest in 2012, there really was no jurisdiction for the arrest in 2011. Pooch. There wasn't any jurisdiction for the arrest in 2015, pow, and there was no jurisdiction for the arrest in 2015. Yes. There was no authority of law to hold me in custody 4 different times over the last 6.5 years. Now, the law requires that equal protections of the law have to be protected, Pooch. When my wife made a phone call on July 2nd of 2011 and had me arrested because of the allegations of child abuse and child neglect, I never abused Heidi or my sons. Pooch, poo. As I had explained, she wanted to use half the welfare money we received the night before to buy clothes. Had made arrangements to abduct my sons from the territory of Guam. Had me put in jail. Then went to Clallam County and had a protection order issued where there were no due process rights. True. Now, as I remember it, you actually have to give notice and opportunity to the father of the biological children before you have the authority of law to be able to arrest for any violation of any protection order. Now, since there was no jurisdiction for the issuance of the protection order in Clallam County, and since I was never given any notice or opportunity to be heard in 2011, it seemed to me that in 2011, during the, virtualization of the population, when they were releasing large amounts of static, somebody thought we were going to have a civil war, and they've been stockpiling large amounts of weapons as if they needed their own personal arsenal to fight a war against those that are in the military. Now, as we go through every lawsuit and liability, all of those that are sheriffs, police officers, and any and all badged throughout this nation and the rest of the world that has a legal or professional obligation for the enforcement of the laws, I'd like to know where there are large caches of weapons, as if we were going to have a war in the United States of America. Now, somebody wanted to program a little civil war in Clallam County because, as I remember it, the Serenity House was going to be a hospital for those that are wounded. Somebody had programmed the whole Confederacy back, and we were going to separate ourselves from the Union. Now, if you could get me the actual weapons owned of every person in law enforcement, when you own more than 10 or 20 guns, when you have top secret bunkers where you keep hundreds of different rifles and handguns, pooch, it could be that somebody thought we were gonna have a civil war. I'm gonna need to know the actual gun ownership of every lawsuit and liability, and I want to know where are the arsenals. Now, someone in Clallam County thought that they were going to start a little war. It was going to be a virtualized civil war that was going to, in reality, result in the deaths of innumerable numbers of citizens. I remember a few times while being in the fifth wheel that I had said through my nose, you do not shoot military personnel. You do not plan on killing any person in uniform. Now, it could have been that those in the top secret fish family had wanted to cause a little diversion. Thought if they could just cause a very large explosion and then start handing out all the rifles from their personal arsenals, they might just start shooting the fucking army. Now, how many in law enforcement thought it was okay to kill military personnel? How many thought it was a good idea to start shooting Marines right now, motherfucker? Okay. Now, why don't you give me all the personal arsenals of all of those that are sheriffs that thought, well, let's have a civil war? You thought killing those in the military, the American military, was a good idea. Now, during the virtualization of the nation, the Chinese had so much to do with everything. They know everything. And quite often, I was the mouth that they used to communicate with those in law enforcement that you do not shoot those that have the United States Army. Now, when you own more than 10 to 20 personal firearms, weapons, because you're the sheriff, it could be your whole monster way of starting a civil war and then programming monsters to kill those in the United States military was a very bad plan. Now give me the arsenals of those in the top secret fish family. I had explained when I was staying in the Serenity House that quite often military would drive up and say, well, we're going to have to take all those rifles. Pooch. You can fill out a form and submit it to the United States Army. And they'll process the form and then they'll get it back to you because the Army has a lot of guns themselves. Yes, I explained that the Army does not steal the weapons of the United States citizens, and they keep in bare arms. But what happens is they drive up with a big truck and they load the truck up and they give you a form to fill out and you submit it to the United States Army, and it takes 9 months to 2 years to go through all the necessary signatures and stamps. It's almost like if they give the form to a new recruit. I've just been in for 3 months. I've been in for 3 months. Pooch. And then all of a sudden it's got to go through the chain of command, and eventually a 4-star general has to sign off. Sure, we don't want your guns. We don't want your fucking guns. Give me the guns.